Good morning, everybody. Yeah, let us start our lecture today, and let us see our schedule. So, according to our schedule, this is the last week before our Thanksgiving break, right? So, in this week, we are supposed to cover Module 4, Module 8, Searching and Sorting. Okay. And actually, I am a lecture behind due to our review in previous week for test 3, and for test 3 I am a lecture behind. Okay, so let me finish today's lecture, and then in our next two lectures we will cover searching and sorting algorithm. But if we cannot cover everything, that maybe we have 4 more lectures, review lectures. Okay, we will cover if something anyway. Okay, so in our last lecture we were discussing two-dimensional array and one-dimensional array. A two-dimensional array is another linear data structure. Okay, so a two-dimensional array is like a table that we organize our data into cell. Each cell is represented by its row and column number. Okay, so we discussed this in our last lecture. So then, in order to create an array, so we put two dimensions, right? One first dimension is for row, and then second dimension is for column count, row count and column count. So like one dimensional array, two-dimensional array declaration and access is a little bit different, and it varies language to language. There's some difference between C++, C#, and Java, right? The three languages we are covering. So in Java, we need two sets of square bracket. So this square bracket is the symbol of an array, right? So when like a parenthesis is a set of parentheses, a symbol of a method, like this square bracket, a set of square bracket is a symbol of one dimensional array. But when you see two set of square bracket, then that is two dimensional array. Okay, so this is in Java. So Java, but there are some differences between language to language. So we can put Java like this way: integer. So these symbols goes right with data type. So my grid is my array name, and then we need to put new int again. Okay, and then this 10 is for number of row, and then 20 is for number of columns. So people taking what Java, we need to follow this. Okay, but people taking C#, we have a little bit different rule that we discussed, that we will use only one set of square bracket. We will use comma in between to separate row and column. Here we will again use int, new int, and here number of 10 rows and number of 20 columns. Okay, we have 20 columns. But in C++, we are taking C++. Give attention, C++ seems to me is easier than other. Okay, like in C++, this is like more likely with it covers like this: C#, and we don't need, like C#, we don't need to put again equal to new int. Okay, so we will go through actual program, so then we will see this. So this is two-dimensional array structure. The red cell has address 2, 3, but we will read is third row and fourth column. the intersection of third row and fourth column. Okay, don't be misled as by telling third column and fourth. Okay, sorry, second row and third column. Do not tell that. That is mistake. Okay, so we know that you need to understand two-dimensional array operation if you want to develop a game. Okay, that on a plane, two-dimensional plane. But for instance, if you want to develop a game that requires more dimension, like if your object moves over like a rabbit, if you draw a rabbit object that moves on a mountain that has longitude, latitude, and height, right? So then we need 3 dimensions. Okay, if your object like moves on a building, the height, then we need 3 dimensions. Sometimes we need more dimension, like 4 dimension, if you want to consider time or speed as well as another dimension. Okay, but if you understand two-dimensional operation, you should understand other dimensions, other multi-dimensional array operations. Okay, so this is what we went through our last lecture. So the first cell, this is the very first cell that has address 0, 0, right? And these cells are called diagonal cells, right? These cells are diagonal cells. And so when we traverse a two-dimensional array, we go by row. We cover all of the first rows, then we start with second row from the beginning of the second row, and then when we finish second row, we go to third row. And this is how we go all the way to our last cell. This is the last cell that has index 3, 3, right? For a 4 by 4 array. So this is what we discussed in our last lecture. So in order to access a two-dimensional array, we need 2 for loop. It's easy to use 2 for loop. The first for loop is called outer for loop. Okay, that works for row. And the second for loop we use is called inner for loop, that works for column. Okay, so this is a program, that is the program. So okay. So since there are variations between language to language, C++, Java, and C# has some very different ways to handle two-dimensional or also one-dimensional array. Okay, so it might be difficult for me to discuss all languages together, but what I did, I added programs in my Replit account. If you go to my Replit account, everybody has a Replit account right here, right? Is there anyone does not have any Replit account? Okay, everybody has. This is good, right? Okay, so if you know how to go to someone else's Replit account, right? If you know his ID, like my ID is Mokhtar, my first name. So if you go replit.it and then / my first name, then you will see a list of programs I already added. So I have two-dimensional array. Well, I have three, 4 programs. All programs I converted to C++, C# and Java. Okay, so according to your favorite PL programming language, so I like you to go to the program and practice it. Okay, and you can copy it and paste it to your account and play with it. So let me go to a simple program that if I have this one, two-dimensional array example 1 Java, I also two-dimensional array on example 1 C#, example 2 C#. I also have more. Okay, two-dimensional array. Okay, let's go on. Okay, this is Java. Okay, people who are taking Java lab, give attention. After that, I will go to C# or other languages. So here, this is my two-dimensional array marks, right? How do I know that it is two-dimensional? It is a two-dimensional array. I have two set of square brackets, right? This is a two-dimensional array. Okay, and all of the array elements are integer type. Okay, so this is my array element for the first column, first row, sorry, for the first row. Okay, and these are the array elements for my second row. Okay, and this is the element of my third row. So how many rows I do have? 3 rows. And how many columns I do have? 4 columns. Okay, so in Java, so we have length method. Okay, the length method in Java, length method that determines the length of actually row. Okay, the length actually not is method, this is attribute, length attribute. Okay, so that determines the number of row, how many rows I do have. So if I use marks dot length, okay, so then it will give me a row length is 3. So I have 3, right? So I can, how many rows I do have, I can use this formula to get to access all rows. Okay, and similarly, if I want to get column length, then marks, so then marks the with 0, marks 0, this 0 says marks with marks 0, then dot length, then it will give you column length. Okay, this is, you can think that this is a tricky way, or however you say, no matter, you should remember it. Okay, instead of putting hard-coded row or length value, if you remember this way how to find length and column, so then no matter how many arrays, how many rows or columns you do have, you can access. Okay, then number of total elements will be number of rows times number of column, right? You can do this way. So here will be 3 times 4, 12. I have elements, and then here this only one line. If you remember, this only one line, this one. So how do we print all of the elements? So we need to put a for loop. The outer for loop goes for row, right? The inner for loop goes for column. So for the inner for loop, we need to put column length over here, right? We need to put column length over, and for outer for loop, we need to put row length over here, right? Okay, and then this is marks ij. This is simple, that you will go and it will display like this. So people taking Java lab, anyone has any question?
So it's going to always be 2 for loops?
Yes, we need one for loop.
For the rows, and then 1 for loop?
Yes, but we need to put the loops within one loop within another loop. Okay, if you put the loop separately, it will not work. One after another, it will not work. One inside another.
So it has to be in one.
Yeah. Okay, now if you understand this, okay, so then we can do more operations. If you want to add all elements, we can do that, right? For instance, if we want to add all elements, that's what we can do. Int sum all initially equal to 0. That what do I need to update? I want to put all of the elements, sum of all elements. What do I need to add? Can anyone please help me?
In the inner for loop, sum
Yes, here. Okay, here sum all plus equal, what do I need to do? Right? And then I want to print the sum of the all elements. Where do I need to put the sum?
Put it outside both for loops.
Can you please tell me the line number?
22.
Yes. 22 should be an appropriate place, or after 22. Okay, sum of wall elements plus so everyone understands? Anyone has any question? Okay, so now let us think that we want to find sum of diagonal elements. Which are the diagonal elements? Okay, so for this case it will not work for diagonal elements, because number of rows for diagonal element we can do if number of rows and column are same, right? But this one it will not work. But let us make it 3 by 3. Yeah, so we want to make diagonal, sum of diagonals. Now we got 3 by 3, right? So now, how can I get diagonal elements? Sum of 30. What are the diagonal elements? 34, 87, and 70, right? How can I get the diagonal elements?
If I equals j,
Okay.
sum all plus
Int
oh if
sum diagonal ELTS equal to 0. Okay. Then what do I need to do?
within your inner for loop.
Where? Within my inner for loop, right?
Yeah.
Here I need to put
If
an if. What should I type in?
I double equals j.
I double equal to j. Okay, then what?
You need a curly bracket.
Okay, if I put curly brace, within curly brace I will put
Some diagonals plus equals mark j.
this one, right?
Yeah.
I'm saving my space. Okay, so I put all together in one line. Okay, even maybe I can put all together in one line. So understand? Yes.
Why is there if statement?
I will check if I equal to j. That means my diagonal elements are only these element plus this element plus this element. So for the element that is on 34, the element 34, it has I and j both 0. For this element I and j both 1, and for this element both I and j are 2. You understand?
Yes.
Okay, you see how many you are about 30-40 people. If I ask question, how many of you respond? Only 1, 2, 3 people. Okay. Okay, so then diagonal elements, sum of the diagonal element will be sum of the diagonal elements will be this one, right? So let us run this. Okay, sum of the diagonal element 34 plus 87 plus 70. Someone add it up. Please verify that it works. Okay, and now if I want to find sum of the non-diagonal elements, what do I need to do?
Not equal.
Yes, thank you. So here, right?
Yeah.
Right here we can do if I not equal to j, sum of the, like sum of maybe non-diagonal element. We need another variable for this one. Okay, int equal to 0, non-diagonal elements, this is 0, and we are adding this, and sum of non-diagonal elements, so we put non, and then should. So to find sum of the non-diagonal elements, there is another alternative way. What is the way? No, the easiest way is, the other way is that find sum of the all elements and then subtract sum of the diagonal elements, then you will get sum of the non-diagonal elements, right? That is mathematical way, but this is actually programming way. We should follow this way. We should not do that way. That would be redundant. Okay? Anyone has any question? Okay, so once we do that, then you should be able to do this for any matrix, right? So for C# people who are taking C# lab, almost similar, you will be able to change this, right, to console.writeLine, and we need to change here, right? We need to put a comma over here, right? And then here, instead of these two, we need to put a comma, right? And here we need to put comma, and here we need to put a comma, and also here, and almost everything. Okay, C# people should be able to do this. Let me see if I have more programs. Okay, I have programs written in okay, this is the program that is C#, the same program, sum of the non-diagonal element. Okay, I was doing this in another section, but I got an error. Let me see if I can fix this error right now. Can you please help me to find, it's showing me an error previously. Okay, this is for loop. Okay, this is inner for loop, end of inner for, right? End of inner for, and this is end of outer for.
What's the curly bracket on line 30 doing?
30?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I see. That is the error, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, got it. Thank you. That is the error that I got some last time. Okay, so actually I need this line. I need this line out of here actually. So it is not showing right way. Okay. So this program is with C#. Okay. Okay, now people who are taking C# lab. Okay, give attention here, please. So here I have calculated length, okay, if I say it will work if I have my length, number of rows and number of columns is equal, that it will work. Okay, but if I have non equal length and column, sorry, row and column, okay, so actually this one, okay, so I have another program actually. So this get length method with 0 index, it returns the number of rows, okay, but if we say number of column, that we need to provide parameter pass parameter equal to 1. Maybe I have an example. Let me see which example I do have. C#, 2-dimensional array example. C#, maybe to this to one. Not this one. Okay. Okay. People who are taking C# lab, give attention for the next 5 minutes, please. Okay. So C# has a length property, okay, that will give you the length of the total array elements. Okay, so if I have this array, how many rows I do have? I have 3 rows, okay, and 4 columns. Let me run it, maybe. Let's see that on the other side. Okay, I have 3 rows. This one first row, this one second row, and this one third row. I have 3 rows, and how many columns I do have? First column, second column, third column, and fourth columns, right? Fourth column, I have 3 rows and 4 columns. Okay, so how many elements I do have total? 3 times 4, right? 12 elements. So in C#, people who are taking C#, give attention, please. In C# has a length property that gives a length of the total array. So for 1-dimensional array, fine. If you use length method, that is easy. Okay, that it will give you a total length. Okay, that is the number of column, number of rows. Okay, but for if you want to count row length, then we need to use get length method. So the array name marks dot get length with 0. If you provide with 0, then this will give you number of rows. Okay, so how many number of rows? So here number of row will give you 3. Okay, but here the attention please, if you provide 1 over here, then it will give you second dimension. So this is the first dimension. First dimension is this place. First dimension is 3 here, right? Second dimension is 4, right? So if you provide 1, then it will count the second dimension. Second dimension is number of column equal to 4. Okay, so it is in C#, it is different, that you will put for row get length 0, and for column you will put get length 1. Then it will work for any array. So people who are taking C# lab, please raise your hand. 1, 2, only 2 people taking C#. Okay, you remember that, okay? Remember this and get my code and then practice it, okay? And I like you, if you go to my Replit account, you will see that I have hundreds of programs that I practice all over the last 3 months. All programs are in my Sorry?
Length. The word length. The typo.
There's a typo?
Length.
Here?
Yeah.
Len. Oh, sorry, thank you. Okay, you have sharp eye. Okay. But here this is correct, right? The method does not work. Method would not work if I mistake. So what I like you copy my code and paste it in your account, right? Create another problem and paste it in your account, then you will get it. Okay, then now let us see C++. Okay, two-dimensional array example C++. Okay, two-dimensional array example 1 C++, example 2 C++. Okay, so this is a two-dimensional array. Let me see if it runs. I was still working on some module of this program. Let me check something. Okay. This, but let me check our slide in C++. In C++, I saw something, maybe there is a mistake in our slide. Let me double check. Okay, there is a mistake here, right? It should be, you got the mistake? People who are taking C++, it should be
like Java.
It's like Java, okay? Okay, I will tell them to fix our lab, okay? This slide, there's a mistake over here. Okay. So the two-dimensional array decoration in C++. Now people who are taking C++, give attention please. So two-dimensional array decoration is like C++, but it is, like Java. In C++ is like Java, but life is easier here, right? We don't need to put again new int over here. Okay, just put directly the elements. Okay, we're assigning the elements. So here, but here at this point in Java you can do that, but Java you cannot assign. If you assign your value, if you declare an array and at the same time if you assign value, you cannot put this length over here. Length is detected automatically in Java. Okay, so here in C++, so this is my marks is a two-dimensional array, and then finding size. Again, like in one-dimensional array, it is like a critical, right? Something that we have to is a size method, use size of method. Then if you put the argument marks, the entire two-dimensional array marks as an argument of size, then it will give you for this one the total length in byte. Okay, but you have to divide by its type 4 over here. Okay, so here then size will be 12. Otherwise, if you do not use this, then size will be 48, because each of the array element takes integer type takes 4 bytes consecutive memory. So how many elements we have? 12, right? 12 times 4, 48 bytes. The size of get the byte size. Okay, return the byte size. Okay, so then total elements will be 12. Okay, okay, now column count. For the column count, so you can put any row. Okay, so you can mark 0 and then divide by type. So here column count will be 4. Okay, And still I was trying to find out how to get the row size. Okay, once I find it out, then I will put it over here. Okay, so far I put hard coded value. Okay, I'm checking that how to find the length, row length in C++. I forgot it, so when I get it, then I will put the code. So once you understand that, then this code is like similar to Java, right? Now if you understand this, now taking people who are taking C++, you can find diagonal elements or other thing. Yes. Yeah. 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 Which line? Line number 12. Yes. Okay. Let me comment out. Okay. Instead of int, what I need to put over here? Marks. 0. 0. Okay, let me see what does it give me. Okay, so the total will be 48 divided by marks 0 will be okay, that's good. Okay, that's good. Then I can put row size over here, right? Okay, thank you so much. I got it. Okay, now it will work for any row and any column. Okay, so now we can do any operation. If you are asked to find sum of all even elements or odd elements, you can do that, right? If you are asked to find all even elements, how can you do that? Sum of all even elements. For instance, I want to do int sum even ELTS. We need to initialize as 0, right? Then what do I need to do? By the way, how many minutes I do have? How many minutes I have? Okay. So I have only 3 minutes, so I'm not going there. Please do it yourself. But I have a few more slides to cover, okay? So maybe I may need 5 minutes extra time today. I'm sorry, I forgot. Okay, so in addition to this, these are called static array. Okay, the static arrays, so far we discussed one-dimensional and two-dimensional arrays. These are static arrays. Static array means we have to fix our size, array or column length, before we run our program during our array decoration, right? So this is a problem. This is an issue with static array. So the issue is that we cannot change our size, array size, during our program execution time. Okay, if I am a programmer, then it is easy for me. But think about in various time and in our real life, we use someone else's program. For instance, we use app, right? We don't have access to change code in our app, but we frequently use that. About maybe 15 years ago, I remember that when I used one of my old cell phones, I could save only 250 contacts number. People save my friends and family and the students and professor phone number on it. Only 250 numbers. Maybe you do not face that issue right now, right? Our numbers are saved on our iCloud account or maybe our email account, right? Contact list. But is anyone here that face that kind of issue? That old cell phone that has limited number of contact list. I had a cell phone that I was able to save only 250 contact list, friends number. Okay, that was the issue. Okay, that maybe that array was defined as a static array. Okay, so instead of solving that kind of issue, most of the programming languages allow to create our own another kind of dynamic array. Okay, dynamic array is the concept is that you will be able to extend the array size as needed. While running your program, without breaking your program or stopping your program, you can add many numbers of elements on your array. That is called dynamic array. Okay, most of the programming languages, now modern languages have, like Java has array list. That array list is defined within java.utility package. Okay, the array list, we can use array list in Java to create a dynamic array. The dynamic array will have, in Java has add method to add any number of elements. You can add as many numbers of elements as you need. Okay, and like C# has array list, but that array list is defined within collection system.collection package. Okay, and for a long time Java C++ did not have dynamic array. When I learned C++, first time about 20 years ago, C++ did not have dynamic array. But recent, after few years, maybe few years ago, C++ has added is called vector. C++ has a class that is vector. Okay, vector is used to implement dynamic array. Also, if you take our 1322 course in next semester, whatever, you will learn how to create our own data structure, dynamic array, linked list, stack, queue. You will learn that. Okay, but most of these programming languages have this built-in data structure to develop dynamic array. So in my my account, I added array list in Java example. Okay, array list in C# example, and vector C++ example, and vector C+ example 2. Okay, so I added some examples of accessing array list in C++, Java and C#, and also vectors in C++. Okay, if you want to learn just this, you can follow my example, but our goal is not to discuss this in this course. Okay, we will discuss dynamic array in our next lecture, or if you take data structure course, then you will learn how to implement your own dynamic array. Okay, that's for now, and next 2 lectures we will discuss sorting and searching algorithm. Thank you so much.